What's up, Transformers fans? I'm Mondo, and welcome to week 30 of Moonbase 84's year-long celebration, celebrating 40 years of Grimlock and the Dinobots. For this week, we're going back to the comics and checking out a pretty cool Grimlock story from the original Marvel UK Transformers comic. This two-issue story from the original UK comic is also collected in the Transformers Best of Grimlock trade paperback published by IDW. Besides the story we're covering here, there are many other cool Grimlock and Dinobot stories in this book, so if you're a Grimlock and Dinobot fan, I recommend checking it out. I got my copy from Amazon as a gift, and I'll leave a link in the description below if you're interested in picking it up. What I like about this Best of Grimlock trade is that they give you a bit of setup before each story, and I'm going to start by quoting that now to give you a sense of the story we're about to check out. The Wrath of Guardian and The Wrath of Grimlock were originally published in October 1985 in issues number 31 and 32 of the British Transformers comic. The two-parter begins just as Ratchet and the recently disentombed Dinobots, fresh from defeating Megatron, arrive at the Ark. Wrath is the first story in which Grimlock takes center stage. In just a few pages, Simon Furman establishes virtually all of the Dinobot leader's defining characteristics. His stubbornness, his contempt for authority, his tendency towards vendettas, and his concern for his fellow Dinobots. That's how things stand as we begin issue 31's The Wrath of Guardian. We immediately jump into the action. The Guardian, a powerful Autobot now under Decepticon control, looms over a beat-down swoop. At seeing this, Grimlock, Slag, and yes, he's Slag at this point in time, Sludge and Snarl charge the Guardian. Ratchet calls out to them, warning the Dinobots that Guardian is too powerful to defeat with brute force. Ratchet's warning falls on deaf ears as the Dinobots attack. Perhaps the Dinobots should have listened to Ratchet, as we see Guardian dispatch the Dinobots again and again, while Ratchet laments their lack of intelligence while thinking of a way to stop Guardian. Ratchet knows Guardian has two weaknesses. A magnetic field will mess up its data core, and there's a cerebral port vulnerable to a fine laser beam. As Guardian pummels Slag, Ratchet climbs onto the back of a staggered Grimlock to get high enough to hit Guardian's cerebral access port. The hit overloads Guardian's systems, causing him to retreat to go try to repair himself. While looking over the damaged Dinobots, Ratchet condemns them for their hasty attack. Grimlock admonishes Ratchet for taking so long to help with the fight and demands that the medic repair the badly damaged Swoop. Ratchet acknowledges that Swoop is in rough shape, but he will have to wait as other Autobots need repairing first. Shockwave's attack on the Ark from previous issues has left a lot of their comrades in a bad state. Obviously, Ratchet's refusal doesn't sit well with Grimlock, ever faithful to his team above all others. Ratchet suggests that Grimlock and the Dinobots track down and stop Guardian while he gets to work repairing everyone. Grimlock orders his team to move out with the intent of ripping Guardian apart. As Ratchet makes his way through the Ark, he's startled by the headless body of Optimus Prime. Here we learn that Shockwave has Prime's head and is attempting to extract the creation matrix from Prime's mind. Here, I should note that this comic was made before the Matrix of Leadership was a thing. In the early stories, it was the Creation Matrix. The Matrix as we know it first appeared in the '86 movie, as far as I know. We now shift to Shockwave at the Decepticon base. Here, we see that Shockwave is using Prime's head to manipulate him to use the Creation Matrix to make more Decepticons. Although I'm sure that this is important to the comic story as a whole, it's not really relevant to this two-part Grimlock story, but still cool, and I definitely need to check out more of these old school comics. Back at the Ark, Ratchet has managed to revive Prowl and Wheeljack. While Ratchet works on Jazz, Wheeljack tries to track Guardian using the Ark's computers. Ratchet is filling Prowl in about the state of the Autobots when suddenly Wheeljack yells out he's found something on the scanners and the energy readings are off the charts. Then we see the Dinobots hunt for Guardian. The Dinobots know that Guardian has been following them through the Ark's corridors and are letting him do so as they wait for the opportune time to strike. When the time is right, Grimlock shouts "now!" and the Dinobots turn on Guardian, catching him fully unaware. I especially love this panel where they yell out "E-Energo Sword" because that's the name of their swords on the tech spec bios of the original G1 toys. For the last page of the issue, we shift back and forth between the Dinobots closing in on Guardian to deliver a finishing blow, and Ratchet, Wheeljack, and Prowl watching things unfold on a monitor. Unfortunately, we also learn that there's a thermonuclear bomb moving on the Ark, and that was the source of the crazy readings Wheeljack detected. As the three watch Grimlock preparing to finish Guardian off, they realize that the bomb is in Guardian, planted by Shockwave as a booby trap failsafe, and if Grimlock finishes them off, the bomb will detonate and take them all out. That's the end of issue 31. The story then continues and concludes in issue 32, Wrath of Grimlock. Issue 32 picks up right where we left off. Grimlock is about to finish the Guardian, saying to him that he doesn't take kindly seeing his teammates beaten or made a fool of. Ratchet, Prowl, and Wheeljack watch on the monitor hopelessly, knowing that if Grimlock pulls the trigger, the bomb and Guardian will explode, taking them all out. They are unable to warn Grimlock of what will happen because the Ark's communications are down. Suddenly, Wheeljack thinks of a last-ditch effort as their only hope of stopping Grimlock and saving everyone. And his plan works. As Grimlock fires, Prime's body grabs Grimlock's arm, causing him to fire into the air. Wheeljack explains to Prowl and Ratchet that he remotely took control of Prime's body to stop Grimlock. As the other Dinobots tease Grimlock for being in his predicament, the very angry Dinobot commander tells the others to help him get free of Prime's grasp. Guardian takes advantage of the distraction to barrel through the Dinobots and escape once again. A bit later, Ratchet replaces Grimlock's hand, which he had to cut off to get free of Prime's grip. The medic explained the situation and why they had to stop him. Ratchet asks Grimlock how the new hand is, and in a moment that I absolutely love, Grimlock decks him before walking out, saying that his hand feels just fine. Grimlock has taken a serious issue with the other Autobots, thinking that they made him look like a fool. Also, we learn that the Autobots have lost track of Guardian again, which is obviously a big problem. We then see that Guardian has found a place on the Ark to repair himself. Even worse, while doing so, he recalls and activates his directive to detonate the bomb within him within 100 seconds. The countdown begins. Meanwhile, Grimlock looms over Ratchet as the medic works to repair Swoop. Grimlock tells him that the sooner Swoop is repaired, the sooner they will all be out of the way. As the other Dinobots contemplate what Grimlock means by that, Guardian crashes through the door and starts taking out Autobots. Grimlock is having none of that. He orders the Dinobots to transform and rip Guardian to pieces. The caption box reads, "A primordial fury grips the Dinobots. A frenzy which has built steadily since their first encounter with the being erupts in savage, bludgeoning force. Every humiliation, every injury will be paid for in kind." All the while, we see the countdown to Guardian's detonation continue. Ratchet finishes reviving Windcharger, hoping his magnetic powers can stop Guardian. We also see a groggy Swoop sitting up on the operating table. Swoop quickly realizes what's happening and goes to fire on Guardian. Ratchet knocks Swoop's arm, causing him to miss, and quickly explains to Swoop what will happen if Guardian gets blasted. Swoop instantly decides what must be done and transforms to Dino mode, grabs Guardian, and flies him away from the Ark. Thinking he's far enough away, he drops Guardian with 2 seconds left to detonation. Sadly, Swoop himself is not far enough away, and the others watch in horror as Guardian detonates with Swoop caught in the blast. The story concludes on a mournful note. Swoop's body couldn't be recovered, and he was thought to have been totally melted from being so close to the blast. The others hold a ceremony for their fallen comrade, and shortly after, Grimlock and the remaining Dinobots leave the Autobots, presumably to seek vengeance on the Decepticons. Swoop's heroic sacrifice allows Ratchet to revive almost all of the other Autobots. That, my friends, wraps up the Wrath story arc, first appearing in issues 31 and 32 of the Transformers UK comic. And even though we lose Swoop, I did enjoy this story. I never really got the chance to check out a lot of the original G1 comics as a kid. Comics weren't readily available in my small town at the time. Much like my recent foray into the Japanese G1 shows, reading these original comics makes me feel I'm discovering Transformers for the first time in a way. The original Marvel comics are a cool alternate take on G1 that I'm now just delving into. Here in the comics we see a Grimlock that is portrayed vastly different than he is in the cartoons, and I'm down for it. As we see in this story, we see a Grimlock who has an ego and arrogance, but we also see his leadership and his loyalty to his team. From what I understand, Simon Furman, the author of the Transformers UK comic, loved Grimlock and the Dinobots and featured them heavily in his books. This naturally means I have to track down the UK comics so I can check them all out. Lastly, I think that the art in this story was pretty good. I've seen a lot of art from the old Marvel comics that I'm not a fan of, to put it kindly. That will wrap up week 30 of Moonbase 84's year-long celebration, celebrating 40 years of Grimlock and the Dinobots. As always, drop your thoughts in the comments below, and thanks for docking.